Hey everyone, Mr. Regan here, and today we're going to be looking at how we're going to be playing our game of golf using our sim, and more specifically, how we're going to go about using the sim to find our golf score. Up to this point, you have explored not only how golf utilizes force, mass, velocity, and collisions to play the game, but also how the game itself is played, how it's scored, what the overall goals are, and so on. So today, when we dive into our sim, our job is to think of the sim games as if we're playing a game of golf. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down how we're going to be using the features to play golf in our sim and how to use the analyze page to find the score for your golf data table. So those two big things. So when you go to the next task, you'll notice that on the left-hand side, we have our golf map. There are 8 holes that we're going to be playing, so 8 rounds. And for each round, you're actually going to be playing multiple times, doing different things based on what you find at each of the different holes. On the right side, you'll notice that you have your golf scorecard. This is where you record your overall scores in golf based on how many times it took you to get the ball into the different holes, whether it's hole 1 or hole 8, and so on. You'll notice that in the data table, we have 4 types of scores that you're going to be looking for. Your best score using the bumpers, your best score not using the best score using the bumpers, worst score using the bumpers, and the best score without the bumpers, and the worst score without the bumpers. So you'll notice your job will be to play all 8 games 3 times each to find your best and worst score. Now, you'll also notice that a section is blocked off, and we'll kind of talk about that here in the beginning. So, holes 1 through 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 are going to be where you start your game. And you'll notice that this area for best score and worst score using bumpers is blocked out. That is because these 4 holes do not have bumpers. And you'll see what I mean by that. So you'll go into, let's say, hole number 1. And your job will be to make the object reach the target here in as few hits as possible. Okay. So you'll start by going to the run page, and your job will be to prepare force and to hit it as few times as possible to get it into the hole. So as you start, maybe you hit it up once to start and you exert force. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, however many it takes. Okay. And you're going to do that 3 times to try to get your best and worst score. So you'll record that in your best and worst score. So whatever, maybe you get the best one on your first try, you get the worst one on your third try, whatever it might be, but best and worst score. Okay. The first 4 holes are going to be similar to that, but with different targets and different places and so on. The next set of holes, you'll notice, have bumpers. So, for example, if you click on hole number 8, it's going to look something like this. Same idea. You're going to run your sim and try to get the best score, the fewest amount of hits, using and not using the bumpers. So let's talk about not using the bumpers. Not using the bumpers is pretty simple. You'll start by obviously preparing your force, and your job will be to hit it as few times as possible to get it into the hole. So force 1, 2, 3. Oh, I hit the bumpers. I have to start over. Okay. Again, trying to score it into the hole in as few hits as possible without hitting the bumpers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, that took me 10 tries. Okay, I'm going to do that 3 times, trying to not hit the bumpers. That'll be without using the bumpers for number 8. Best and worst score. Then I'm going to try to score using the bumpers. So now I'm going to rerun that same one, and I'm going to hit prepare force. And my job will be to decide how can I use the bumpers to get it in as few tries as possible. Every time it hits the bumpers, your job will be to count that as a hit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I didn't get it. So notice I hit it 8 times, didn't go in. So that would be a score of 8, even though it didn't go in, and so on. Now, whether you hit it using the bumpers or whether you hit it without the bumpers, okay, when you go to the analyze page for either one, you can rewind and count the number of times, for example, it hit the bumpers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's my initial at 9. So 9 times. Or you can rewind it just like we saw here, and you can literally count all these green dots here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Each one shows you how many hits it took. Remember, fewest hits is your overall goal. So you are going to be doing 2 sets of scores using the bumpers and not using the bumpers. Best score and worst score. You do each hole 3 times, okay? And when you're done, you're going to find the overall total. So I'll add up all my numbers here to get whatever my total is. Maybe it's 100. I'll add up all my scores here, see what it is. Maybe it's 80, and so on. Your final score will determine if you win. So, take a second. Do you understand how to use the features to play the game of golf in our sim? The bumpers, how to use the force arrows, so on. Do you understand how to use the analyze page to find your scores for the data scorecard or the data table? If you put your action green, great job. If you put your action yellow or red, reach out if you need help. Otherwise, good luck.